In the latest of Fortnite clips out there, we have a few Fortnite pro players giving their thoughts on the unprofessional esport that is Fortnite. They actually talk about how easy it is to be a Fortnite pro player, that being Mongrel alongside Benji and Clicks. I believe all three of them in the call. Mainly Mongrel, though, giving his thoughts on exactly why Fortnite is very peculiar in its ways. It's very easy to become a Fortnite pro, but as per usual, it's also a very unprofessional esport in general, which I don't think many people would disagree with. Here are their thoughts on the case.
Scrims, that's the problem.
You don't need to play scrims to be good anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But still, I want to play.
Same.
Like, I'm so bored.
Fortnite's so weird. Like, it's just unexplainable. Like, in CS, you have to scrim 16 hours a day with your god squad, and you have to have mental coaches, bro. In this game, bro, like, I don't know.
You just do. It's the most unprofessional esport ever. Like,
I love it because of that. Like,
yeah.
I love all the players.
You can have the worst sleeping schedule. You can have the worst like health, you know, IRL, and then you can literally like you don't even need to practice that much.
That's nice. I like that.
If you just practice your mechanics, then you can just find some IG up.
What?
I swear it's so easy to go from like being a casual. I swear it's so easy to go from like being a casual to a pro, or like not a casual, but like. You can improve so much, like so quickly, bro. Like, I'm not even trolling.
And to be fair, guys, this is certainly a future debate on this channel coming sometime soon. I agree with a lot of the points they did make, especially when it comes to being very unprofessional. I've talked about in several videos here on this channel as to why Fortnite maybe is not an esport to a lot of people out there, which I think a lot of you guys would also agree with, but also disagree with. It can be debated back and forth. Alongside that, though, the simple thing I need to talk about for the future of Fortnite and all of these upcoming pro players, and I say that very carefully, is there is no other scene like Fortnite when it comes to the number of prize pools and the number, of course, of millions of dollars actually flooding the scene when it comes time for cash cups and qualifiers and winter royales and royales in general, and of course summer events, spring events, whatever it might be, alongside the World Cup. There is no other esport out there that has flooded their scene on all levels with so much money than Epic Games. And I'm very worried for the future of all of these Fortnite pros, up and coming teenagers out there, to realize no other esport will ever be like this, or at least for quite some time, as the money simply is not there by a lot of developers and a lot of companies like Epic Games, who is luckily making approaching $2 billion or at least billions of dollars every single year from skin sales, and they can afford to do so. Other scenes can't do that. Now, of course, to their point as well, they do make sure to mention for games like CS, you got to get an entire 5-man squad together to practice and scrim each and every day, and to crack the top level of CSGO is legitimately nearly impossible for any 14 to 18-year-old kid out there. It takes years to even go to the tier 3 or tier 2 CS scene and crack the upper echelon of that scene in general. When it comes to Fortnite, you can scrim around. You also don't need a full team. You can go typically solos or duos and really do well in cash cups or qualifiers alongside many other things. And so I am worried about a lot of these teenagers who deem themselves as Fortnite pros, and they think this is the standard going forward for all esports, when no other esports actually have this kind of lower tier scene, especially when it comes time for prize pools. I mean, it's notorious the treatment of Overwatch contenders players, and yes, they do make, I assume you would say, a fair wage as well. Dota 2 is definitely notoriously known for how poor it is in terms of lower tier scenes, and how almost impossible it is to go from any tier below tier 1 and to crack that ceiling. It's notoriously known to be a very difficult scene in terms of player treatment below the top scene. Alongside that, CS, and when it comes time for prize money out there, CS has their lower tier events, but even getting to tier 2 CSGO would take a full team. It would take arguably years of practice, and again, a lot of loyalty as compared to Fortnite. You can hop on, scrim a couple times a day, maybe get lucky here and there, and so many tournament offerings. We had Mythic Cup for CSGO just this past weekend. Even a Mythic Cup $5,000 event takes top-notch CSGO pros to win, like Stewie 2K and Vanity and Sabrosa and Wardell and the like. Even then, to win $5,000, it takes a top CSGO team, or at least some pretty good players. Fortnite, you can do that in Cash Cup. You can do that in random qualifiers. Heck, you can even try and qualify for World Cup and fall way short of that and earn a pretty decent cash prize. There is no other scene out there that feeds their scene with so much money as Fortnite does, and so I'm simply worried about the future of all of these up-and-coming teenagers, especially when they realize this won't be the way for too long, unless, of course, Fortnite remains dominant, which is also very likely. Alongside that, very last point out there is when it comes to Fortnite, you can always cheat, right? You can always stream snipe or just blatantly cheat. You, of course, can do many other things like teaming that we've seen time and time again in and get away with it and also make a pretty decent chunk of change. We've seen it time and time again amidst all of these teenagers or these younger pro players in the Fortnite scene. There are more Fortnite professional cheaters than any other esport, and it's not even close. And you know why they cheat? Because it's a rewarded system. There's really kind of a blanket, very, very little punishment. And so that is why, again, to their point, it's a very unprofessional esport. It's not standard across the board. And when it comes time for the future of all these pros and where they'll go after Fortnite, I have no idea. But either way, Mongrel, Clicks, alongside Benji Fishy, they think that it's very easy to be a Fortnite pro. I agree with them. What do you guys think? Until next time, I hope you guys all enjoy breaking down esports gaming news here every single day, all day long. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.